Hello everyone, welcome to my lecture on business communication. My name is Ahmed Wakaraja. I am an assistant professor of Southeast University. Today I will talk on meetings, press conference, press release, public relations, advertisement, questionnaire and on visual presentation. I hope my lecture will be very helpful for preparing for the business communication module. So I'll start on meetings. So meetings are very important in the business world, and nowadays not only we meet in among us in face to face, there are a lot of ways to meet as well. Like if we use internet, we can have a meeting virtually over video conferencing and all. So first we discuss on what are the different purposes of meeting. First, meeting is to, as I said earlier, to share information, to put any information among the people, to put forward any kind of proposals, any suggestions, any grievance, and also somebody is sharing his or her actions or experience, and if a company wants to take certain activities or how to coordinate particular actions, these are the things to be discussed in the meeting, and these are the purpose. Next we discuss what are the different kinds of meetings. Meetings can be formal or informal. So in the formal meetings there are like AGMs, different statutory meeting. In AGMs or this kind of meetings, why these are formal? Because there are certain constitution or particular articles of associations are to be followed during this kind of meetings, and also quorum to be followed. What is quorum? Like minimum number of person to be attended, and also it's like in the board meeting, minimum number of directors are to be present there. So this kind of rules are there in the formal meetings. And also as we know, there are also rules for say particular records to be kept in a very formal way, in which day the meeting will be there, like once in a year or something like that. But whereas in informal meeting there are no such bindings. There are certain rules, but not this kind of special conditions are imposed. And especially it happens when for any specific projects or specific problems, department managers meets with the subordinates, or general manager meets with the managers, not in a very specific periods, maybe every 7 days or every 3 days or every day they can have informal meetings. Next we come to the what is notice and agenda of meeting. Notice is like given to all the members who are going to attend the meeting, like on which day the meeting will be there, what time, the venue of the meeting. It's like that. And also sometimes the agenda, that means what are to be discussed in the meeting, is also put together with the notice. So these two are very important preparations for conducting any meetings. So how to write the agenda is also very important. First the authority or the senior managers or chairman, they will decide particular agendas. That might be like this. First agenda might be thanking all, or sorry, some apologies for certain delays or something like that. Then there would be discussions on the previous minutes of the previous meeting. There might be some new actions to be taken, new resolutions to be taken, and lastly the fixing up the next date of the meeting, and so on. It's like that. And also there are certain agendas which are called chairman's agenda. If the chairman wants to deliver particular message, he might have some extra agenda, like the chairman might have extra agenda other than the regular agenda for conducting the meeting more effectively or to his ways. And also there in chairman agendas there are particular section for taking notes. He might take some notes. There might be some extra agenda which are to be followed throughout the meeting. And after this I'll discuss on how to write the minutes of the meeting. Minutes of the meetings are the total follow-up of the meeting. There are three kinds of minutes. One is called verbal minutes. Verbal minutes are those, it's the word to word of all kinds of discussions happened in a particular meeting. Like in a court proceedings, they do the verbal minutes, like all the discussions are written. Then come to the minutes of resolution, which is a common practice in the business world. What they do, they only write down the things, main points where the conclusion has been reached, not all the discussions they keep on, they write only the conclusions which has been reached. Second and third is the minutes of narration. It's like not only the resolution but also all the reports received, all the discussions happened, all the resolutions made, all are written but in a very concise manner. So what's the difference between minutes of verbal and minutes of narration? It's the summary of minutes of verbal it's called the minutes of narration. But in business world, it's mostly the minutes of resolution is practiced. Whatever all these theories are, ultimately minutes are written according to it's different in different companies, and they have certain procedure. They have certain rules they follow for writing the meeting minutes. Now I'll talk on public relations. In public relations, an organization or a company, whatever they do to have relationship with the potential consumer or the person outside the organization or the company, it might be through any kind of mass media like TV, radio, any kind of other mass media, or through any kind of brochure, printed materials, and like so. It should be impartial as well, and also updated. It should be distributed properly. It should be made professionally. And lastly, for these things are to be communicated with the consumer properly through what I said, like mass media, TV, radio, or newspaper, or through any exhibition, through sponsoring any particular program, or publishing a company brochure for potential consumer, maybe arranging certain programs, or printing something for the education purpose of the school or college, or any kind of social benefiting activities. So in press release is one of the main important part of public relations, just as like press conference or a photo opportunity for any news. So for press release, there are certain things we have to remember. Press release is not a kind of advertisement, but it's something newsworthy thing which is based on fact, and which is very important thing for a company. Like if a company is changing their office relocation, or moving to a new office building, purchasing a new office, or changing of the CEO, or changing of some important position, or this kind of things actually goes in the press release, or signing a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with another company. This kind of news goes to the press release. So a company person who is responsible to write the press release, he or she has to take care of certain things. First of all, there should be a certain headings, very catchy, eye-catchy heading. Under the heading, the first opening paragraph is the most important thing. In that paragraph, the whole essence or the whole news should be reflected, because all the editors, all the viewers, editors, all actually focus on the first opening paragraphs, and then there might be some middle paragraphs which will describe the news, and lastly a nice concluding remarks or summary of the news, or maybe a comments from the CEO of the company. So there are certain guidelines, like we cannot use certain things which sounds like an advertisement. It should be written in a third person, like don't use I, we and all those stuff. And then secondly, the press release should be very small, brief, does not sound like advertisement, and very written in a very punchy style, very crispy, and using a short sentences, and should be very professional. So lastly, we will have to answer certain things like what is happening, when it is happening, where, who is involved, how it is happening. If these questions are answered in that particular small press release, then it is very professional. Now I will talk on newsletters. Newsletters can be two types. First of all, newsletters can be meant for customers, newsletter can be meant for the employees. For employees, different kinds of updates are given in the newsletters, like some birthday news, somebody is leaving the company, some new changes in the product or in the service, or different kind of changes, maybe internal office changes, some promotions, news, some news of somebody's marriage, anything, they give a certain update. So that is a newsletter for employees. Another kind of newsletter is for customers, different customers' views, opinions about different customers' information. They can have certain newsletter. Also, new product or services are to be mentioned in that particular newsletter, so that customer always get a very updated newsletter. And also another thing is newsletter can be sent to the old retired employees. They can have a good information about the companies they left, this kind of thing. So any kind of newsletter we publish, there are certain guidelines also. It should not be so formal, it should be very updated, it should be written in a very punchy style, like very fluent style, and not that much rigidity should be inside, should be very flexible. Now I will talk on notice. Notices are very important. It's to be put on the boards, bulletin boards of a company, and everywhere we see different notices, and meant for different employees for taking different actions or different events. They give a particular notice. In the notice, first of all, the notice should be very clear looking, and the headings should be very clear, the main thing. And then second is the paper should be very eye catchy. The headings and subheadings, or all the notice are to be very logical flow. There should be certain logical flow in between all the paragraph. And also the bulleted forms or asterisks to be used for points to be mentioned in the notice. And lastly, there should be the name of the notice giver or the reference and date as well. Now I'll talk on advertisement. Advertisement is very important of any company. They need to give advertisement for making the consumer aware of their new products or services, for any vacant posts, for any kind of new events or developments happen. They can advertise that in the mass media, like newspaper, TV, radio, or whatever. So right now we are talking about printed advertisement thing, or even in the TV. So while doing the advertisement, we have to follow certain rules, that is called AIDA. So what is AIDA? First is to get attention, second is get interest, third is get desire, and lastly get action. First is getting attention. Getting attention by any means, by advertising a very good product or service, some good promotional offers, or by giving a good advertisement like picture or nice color advertisement first. Second is getting interest by putting all the good attributes or benefits of a particular service or desire. If the consumer becomes interested, so that is one of the aim of the advertisement. And third is the desire. After having attention to the advertisement and certain desires, certain interest is created, then the customer will have certain desire to buy that particular product, or have a trial of that particular product, or meet the buyer, or do certain actions. That kind of desire is created by that advertisement. And lastly, actions, that to have the product, to buy the product, or to do certain actions so that that product or service is available to that consumer. So these four are the main aim of an advertisement. So for this advertisement purpose, we also have to design leaflets, we have to design invitations. Whatever we do, it should be very catchy, it should have the attention of the potential viewers, and also it should be based on the fact, it should be trustworthy, it should be very simple, using simple words, it should not be that complex or ambiguous. And after that, I'll talk on forms and questionnaires. Forms and questionnaires, how to prepare this is almost same. Forms are actually meant for getting feedback from the consumer. If we have certain products, if we have a particular forms attached with that particular paper, they can give feedback with their name, address and telephone, and also some comments. And just like that, suppose we want to do certain market research or consumer research, we can design certain questionnaire. Questionnaires can be different kind of questions can be included, like open-ended questions. There should be sufficient space for open-ended questions. There might be some multiple choice questions, and there might be some questions like only yes or no. So whatever the question are to be put in a questionnaire, it should be clearly stated that what are expected out of the questionnaires, how to answer those questionnaires, and how the questionnaires would be used. Also whether the confidentiality of the respondent would be ensured or not. So ultimately, if the questionnaire is in logical sequence and in a very easy language, or the motive of the questionnaire is expressed very vividly, or and the questions are very logical, then it's easy for the respondent to answer. And a lot of extra spaces to be provided for open-ended questions, and for multiple choice questions also there are certain common sense are to be used. Nowadays visual presentation is very important, because right now suppose you are watching me, you are listening to my lecture, or you will see certain multimedia CD for your distance program. This is also part of visual presentation. So as you know, like listening or watching, hearing, smelling, these are the very small part of communication, but watching something through eyes is very important. So there are certain aspects or certain criteria for visual presentation. There are certain medias for visual presentation, maybe through different softwares, through multimedia projectors we can have certain visual presentation, through TV, through different multimedia things we can have certain visual presentation. So in those things also, suppose we can have certain pictures, certain videos, certain graphs, like even you can use pie chart, Gantt chart, bar chart. And those charts are very easy to comprehend a particular situation. We can also analyze a particular situation, we can compare with among different situations. So visual presentation is very important. Also maps are very important, any kind of pictures, any graphs or any new computer graphics is very important for visual graphics. And in visual presentations, these are the main tools we use in our modern days. Thank you all for listening to my lectures. Apart from this lectures, you have to go through the module and the books in detail. For any kind of further clarification, you can contact our office anytime.